How long have you not been smoking and have been living sober? Why did you stop? Were you unhappy? Are you happier now? I am struggling here after approximately 6 years of daily smoking. I read all 272 replies. Most of them were in line with my observations. Thank you for your feedback. Story 1. After 15 years of heavy everyday use, I am about 3 months clean. I do not crave it anymore. I have noticed my energy levels and motivation to get things done are improving. Less procrastinating, less time stuck worrying instead of just doing. Social anxiety has decreased. I feel like my sense of smell is getting sharper. The biggest improvement is my sleep, which is getting much better. Just be aware, the dreams are wild and vivid since I have quit, and I hear that is common. Story 2. I stopped because it caused horrible existential dread. Yes, I am much happier now and more productive as well. Story 3. When I'm sober, I feel like my life is progressing. I have a drive to meet women, I get fit, I eat much healthier, I am fully extroverted, and I am generally happier. My issue is that I struggle to find a way to decompress, so my weeks feel like nothing but work until I break and use drugs. Then the cycle repeats. When I'm high, I don't feel the weight of life. I am fully content with activities I typically find boring, and the activities I enjoy are more enjoyable while high. I have something to look forward to each day. My diet becomes much worse, and I become lazy and very introverted. I am groggy every day, and my main priority is getting home to use drugs. It was really enjoyable throughout my teens and college, but now I am an adult and life is already so boring, work, eat, sleep, that it becomes very difficult to break away from the one thing that refreshes that feeling of mundaneness, even though at this point it adds to that feeling. Story 4. I quit smoking for a year mainly to see if I could. I did not feel particularly happier or sadder, but when I started smoking again, I became incredibly depressed. Now I have quit again for good this time. A big part of it is finding things to do with your friends that do not involve smoking. Story 5. Man, I've learned that moderation is the key. If you can't have cannabis in your house without using it, you have a problem. If your day is spent looking forward to using cannabis, you have a problem. By the tone of your post, I'm guessing you already realize this. My truth is that I have to be really careful not to become an everyday user. My personality is very addictive, and it happens quickly if I lose focus. Some people cannot do it in moderation. My best friend absolutely cannot, so he has to stay away from it. It is difficult but real. Plus, the buzz you get when you're not using cannabis every day is much better and will remind you why you love it and why you can't overindulge. Best of luck to you on your journey. Story 6. Smoked every day for 10 years. Stopped 5 to 6 months ago for a job that was life-changing. After the first few days, I realized it did not make me feel much different honestly. I do miss it as a party or relaxing activity though. I feel lame for saying no these days, but it is worth it for the betterment of my family. Story 7. Yeah man, I quit after about 9 years of everyday use. I sleep better, I am happier, my energy levels, focus, and overall appearance have improved. I would recommend it. I love sobriety now. To be clear, I still smoke but only about 10 to 20 times a year. Story 8. I stopped smoking when I realized I was self-medicating. Then I started again once I could use it just for fun. The biggest issue for me was that I couldn't fall asleep. Story 9. Smoked all day, every day for more than 20 years. I quit a couple of years ago. The last few years of being constantly under the influence just wasn't working out anymore. Life is a bit more boring, but it is better. It wasn't as life-changing as I expected quitting would be, but I would describe it as having a more consistent energy level and replacing bad habits with good ones. Sometimes I miss it, but I won't go back. Story 10. I smoked almost daily for a couple of years. One day it was like a switch flipped, and it started giving me really bad anxiety. After I had a panic attack, I quit. I tried it again a few times after that, but every time it just felt bad. Now, I have been sober for over a year. I do miss it sometimes, but overall I feel better and clearer. Story 11. I was a high-functioning smoker for 18 years. I smoked weed every day for that period of time. I feel more energetic. I sleep a lot better. That took time, though. And I am way less passive in my spare time. High functioning in the sense that I had a difficult job that I excelled at. I am even better at it now. Story 12. I smoked daily for 3 years. I tried to stop and realized I had built my entire life around it. Friends, job, hobbies, all of it. I knew I couldn't quit without an entire life change. I quit my cashiering retail job, moved to a different town, and started completely over with $10,000 in credit card debt and no job. I got a new retail job, switched to the evening shift, enrolled in a 2-year community trade school, and slowly found new sober friends. I used to dream of marijuana and miss the way it made me feel, but I realized all the deep, meaningful insights it gave me were nonsense. I kept a journal while smoking to record my high realizations, and it was really important to me. When I flipped through the pages after not smoking for about 2 years, it was the stupidest stuff I have ever read. Just repetitive things or randomly rhyming words like, to live means to live. It was pure schizophrenic nonsense. I got one tattoo while smoking and had plans for full sleeves, but once I quit, my desire for tattoos completely disappeared. I started a real career and kept up with school, slowly finishing a master's degree. It's been 16 years, and I just crossed the $100,000 per year mark working a low-stress office job with a great team. This never would have happened on weed. I've had some bumps along the way, but nothing out of the ordinary or devastating. Now I see people, family or friends, working bottom-tier jobs, smoking all day, watching cartoons all weekend for 8 years straight, and getting mad at me saying that smoking marijuana doesn't make you lazy. Lazy people are lazy. The marijuana has nothing to do with it. Also, they say they could quit anytime. They just don't want to. And they choose this lifestyle because they don't want to give in. All the typical stuff I said too, while simultaneously complaining about how unfair everything is, how little they are paid, and how everyone should support each other, of course while asking family and friends for free housing and offering nothing in return except good vibes. To this day, in 16 years, I haven't met a single other person who was a daily marijuana smoker and gave it up. So yes, I admit it's based on my own anecdotal evidence, but I 100% believe marijuana is addictive and has negative effects on your life. But look at Joe Rogan. Do you think he is unsuccessful? Every bong-smoking basement dweller in America. Story 13. I didn't quit, but I've moved to weekends only. Life has been generally the same, I think. I feel much more alert and wake up feeling more well-rested, which is a plus. I also don't have anxiety about trips where I can't bring cannabis anymore, which is a plus. I get much higher when I do smoke, which is a plus. Overall, I think it's been positive but not life-changing. Cannabis never held me back professionally or socially, so I wasn't quitting for those reasons. Mostly, I got tired of spending so much money on cannabis and wanted to avoid sleep anxiety when I am out of the country without it. The much lower tolerance has become my favorite part. I get absolutely blitzed these days. I went out for dinner with some friends early on in the process, and about halfway through dinner they went outside to smoke. All you can eat fish and chips. Got to be high. I was just like, I'm good. I'm still absolutely blazed. It really put into perspective how low my tolerance had dropped and how much more fun cannabis is. Story 14. Smoking marijuana made me mentally unwell. I used to smoke heavily. It is kind of better now. I might still use it twice a year if I feel like it, but usually it is not worth the risk of having a bad experience. Story 15. There is definitely a small withdrawal if you have used for a long time. I had trouble sleeping, poor appetite, nausea, general irritability, and lack of interest in everything. Nothing prevented me from successfully quitting, though. It went away after a week. I stopped to keep my urine clean as I am not happy with my current job. The problem for some is not the cannabis itself, but using it as a crutch to ignore problems. Reach a point where you are happy with life without it, and then consider recreational use. Story 16. I smoked daily for about 13 years. I quit about 5 years ago. Life is fine. I didn't need it the way I thought I did when I was using it. It took a few weeks to stop without it being difficult. It is addictive, so try quitting for real before you judge me. Once you push through the first 2 weeks or so, it gets easier. I still crave it to this day. I miss it. But I sleep fine, and I'm not in pain like I thought I would be. Dreaming again is a treat. I gave it up for health reasons when I was diagnosed with kidney disease. It wasn't a choice I made. I needed to do it. Story 17. It can take about a year to fully recover from long-term use. I used it for about 20 years and quit 6 years ago. During my 20s, it was fun when done socially, but doing it alone every evening loses its appeal. Night sweats, vivid dreams, and mood swings are all normal during withdrawal. I haven't craved it in years, even when I'm around people using it. Prepare to lose some friends when you no longer partake. Nothing against it, but I feel like it steals a lot of time from you. Story 18. I was a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week smoker for 8 years. I only smoke now if I am with friends. My life is much more productive. I do not miss being comfortably numb. Story 19. 4 or 5 years now. Smoked daily for 10. I used it as a tool for procrastination and neglecting my issues and personal growth. In the end, it became too much. Stopping marijuana was a big step in my rebirth. Story 20. Smoked every day for 15 years. First thing I did in the morning, last thing I did at night. Smoke breaks were toke breaks. Started feeling strange being high around my young children, so I stopped smoking at home at night. I stopped smoking at work after I realized it was affecting my performance. I saw a dramatic increase in my earnings as time went on and never looked back. I stopped smoking when I was out because I noticed it was making me antisocial and causing anxiety around crowds. I still have a lazy puff maybe twice a year, but I am glad I am no longer addicted. I still spend time with friends who get high all the time, but I am comfortable not joining in. I have absolutely no judgment on users. No regrets, just personal preference and lessons learned. Story 21. For me, my life did not do a major 180 after quitting, and I have been clean for 2 years. That is why it was hard to stop. I needed to say goodbye to the roller coaster of emotions. Paranoia, dread, and so on. I asked myself if this were a prescription, would I accept these side effects? Also, I do not have to hide it anymore. I am not worried about the smell, red eyes, or the image of myself as a user. I do not binge eat like I used to. I could really consume a lot of calories while high. Those are the main ones. I do miss the way it felt to lock into an activity after smoking. Now I have to earn it. Story 22. After years of heavy use, I did 9 weeks clean at the start of the year. It felt more like a sabbatical than actually quitting, and I enjoyed the sense of clarity and dreams during that stretch, but I also became pretty depressed. I'm cutting down again and want to quit for at least a few years. I think having a hard schedule will help me. The key for me is that smoking marijuana makes getting by all right but destroys certain ambition. Essentially, I want to date again, and I'd rather become a sex addict or lean into that than keep smoking marijuana. Story 23. I never did it, but I watched my uncle struggle with life for years after giving up his daily habit. I have to imagine that his lungs felt better. Out of his large family of siblings, he was the only one who was not unpleasant. Story 24. I used to smoke every single day, before work, during work, and after work. Honestly, it became a crutch for dealing with real life. While it did serve its purpose, I don't miss it, at least not every day. Once in a blue moon, I wish I could feel that again, but it is pretty rare. I am much more present now, and my memory is better. Story 25. I was giving around half my monthly paycheck to Michael Jordan, smoking several joints daily. If I recall correctly, about 10 grams every 3 days or so for over a year. I was extremely down and depressed during that period. I stopped about 9 months ago when I had to move. Due to family reasons, I chose my mental health over those around me and moved back with my dad. I feel that I am better off now. I have only done it 2 or 3 times since, on special occasions. I still enjoyed it, but it is not a requirement anymore like it was before. When I quit, it was pretty difficult during the first 2 to 3 weeks, but I was able to get over it. I just ate good food, home-cooked meals, soup, and ate multiple times daily, 2 to 4 times. Whereas when I was smoking, I usually only ate once a day and sometimes forgot to eat. After the early weeks, I did not even feel the need to light up. Story 26. Recently, I quit after an embarrassing experience. The first few days were tough, filled with anxiety and a bad mood. It has only been about 2 weeks, and it went from being the first thing I think about and a constant presence throughout the day and night to not even on my mind. You have to put it in your head that you are stopping. I have taken a few puffs here and there, but the financial and health concerns were becoming real for me. Story 27. I had a child, and the desire to use marijuana just went away. I have smoked a few times since he was born, but I cannot seem to enjoy it as much anymore. I just get too paranoid that he will need me for something. Story 28. Smoked every day for 15 years and have now been a non-smoker for 16 years. I do not miss the forgetfulness and paranoia that were getting worse. Those were some of the main reasons for quitting. Story 29. I smoked daily from about 2000 to 2019 and quit cold turkey. I still take hits from things that are not mine when I am out with friends, which is not very often these days. I do not miss it at all. I feel much better and I am more productive. I have lost the consistent numbness that marijuana provides, which can be a blessing or a curse. Story 30. I had consistent heavy use for about a year. I had many days where I was high for the majority of my waking hours. That period of life was not a complete waste, but I wish it did not take a whole year of my life. I am still fine getting high and do occasionally partake in cannabis. It has been a couple of months since I have taken an edible, but I use it maybe once every few months. I have had a significant decrease in my use. Life is very good. Cannabis gave me a lot of time and headspace to really reflect on what I wanted, who I was, and so on. I feel much more confident in who I am as a person. When I stopped smoking, my memory improved, and my sleep was much better. It was a night and day difference. Life got a lot better when I stopped smoking consistently. Story 31. I have been sober for over a year. I feel like I can fly. Life is just as colorful without it as it was with it, but now life feels warmer. I stopped because I recognized I was addicted, but it took the power of God to heal me completely. I tried to stop numerous times, all of which failed. I am not as anxious or paranoid. I do not get irritated as easily. I do not avoid people as much, and I have completely lost my cravings. I cannot say I am happier now because I am very good at navigating happiness regardless of how life looks. But I can say I am freer and do not feel as restricted, shameful, or dirty, if that makes sense. Story 32. I was a daily intensive smoker for about 25 years, using bongs and pipes and later spliffs. I didn't bother with rolling and smoking spliffs in my younger days. I stopped about 10 years ago after being diagnosed with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Personally, I was also ready to quit at that point. It made a huge difference to my mornings and days in general. I felt much more engaged and alert, not as groggy, and generally more energetic. I still have a puff here and there, and it is much more appreciated. I always have such a good laugh. One thing I can say is that when I am stoned, my head goes to a much more creative space. This is not just my opinion. It inspires art, creative ideas, and interaction. I just go on a different plane. Overall, smoking became part of my identity at a time in my life when my place was where everyone came to smoke and hang out. I even smoked at work during my lunch breaks. I would not say I miss it, as I can get it and smoke if I want. I prefer where I am now energy-wise. I am 55 years old. Having said all that, I had a puff the other night and was totally baked. I lay on the floor next to my dog, which was nice. Story 33. Weed is one of the best drugs to use if you do not want to work on any of your personal issues or problems. I smoke daily for over 20 years, and I have not smoked in the last 10 years except for a few parties. My problem is that I transferred a lot of my addiction from marijuana to eating and have gained a lot of weight in the last 10 years. It is still better that I did, especially since that time I have gotten a job that has random drug tests. I really like my job and am making more money than I ever did compared to when I smoked marijuana. Story 34. I was a 3+ times a day cannabis user for about 12 years, starting at age 16. I accomplished a lot in my life during that time, but I struggled with cyclical depression and self-care issues. One psychiatrist I started seeing during the pandemic was strongly opposed to cannabis use. I had seen several psychiatrists before and always ignored any suggestions to moderate or quit, believing they didn't understand how much it helped me or how little it affected my success in life. This psychiatrist was different. He was highly respected, had written a book on the subject, and was one of the kindest, most genuine caregivers I had encountered. He understood I wasn't going to quit immediately, so he wasn't stern or judgmental, just compassionate and informative. Over many months, he gently encouraged me to try quitting for a few months to observe how it affected my behavior. It was difficult, but after only a few weeks, I noticed waking up in a good mood much more often and found it easier to take care of myself. Exercising, eating properly, maintaining hygiene, reading for pleasure, and so on. I didn't use cannabis for an entire year because of how much better I felt. It has now been 3 years. While I have used cannabis occasionally since then, my relationship with it has changed completely. Now, getting high is an occasional event about 1 to 2 times a month, almost always in social settings. I no longer struggle with the issues I faced before. To illustrate the extent of the change, about a year ago I experienced a difficult breakup and started using cannabis daily again for about a month to cope. It was remarkable how quickly my old issues returned. I was already depressed from the breakup, and cannabis worsened it. Because I could compare those experiences to earlier years, I recognized what was happening and quit again. In short, this change has been very positive for me. I still enjoy using cannabis sometimes, but I don't crave it, and I'm much happier overall. Story 35. I used to smoke in college for a couple of years. I eat a lot less, and I save money by not ordering food delivery at 3 a.m. Story 36. Smoked for 25 years straight, all day, every day. Had to quit for health issues. I take cannabis edibles sometimes. It was easier than I thought. Memory is better, thinking is clearer, and dreams are vivid. Story 37. I stopped 2 weeks ago because of job interviews. I start a new one Monday, so I want to have a clear mind. It is a software development role. If it were anything else, I probably would not care, but being high makes it significantly harder. I can get a lot done when working on my own project, but I cannot seem to do it when working with others and having other responsibilities. I figured it was best to stop for good. I am feeling good so far, no longer craving it, but I do miss it. Story 38. Going from daily smoking to quitting is an experience. It is difficult for about a week, then you start to feel more energetic. You do not need as much sleep, and you have greater clarity. After a month or so, you literally feel younger. That is how it went for me, smoking daily from age 23 through 33 before I quit. Story 39. The first thing that happened to one of my close friends from high school was that he lost weight. He loved indica strains, but they made him hungry. He would eat junk food, and even when he added fruits and vegetables, he was just overdoing it. He stopped smoking and no longer had an appetite. Story 40. Smoked all day, every day for over 20 years. Was smoking more than 1 ounce of quality marijuana every week. I realized I had wasted many opportunities and couldn't remember much of where I had been or what I had done. Had nothing to show for it. Met my now wife and quit smoking. Had children, got married, and so on. Never been happier or healthier. 8 years later, life is much better. Still love the smell of it though. Story 41. I was a daily smoker for 15 years and terribly depressed. I never thought I would be able to quit because I assumed I would become even more depressed. Well, I did quit and I started lifting weights instead. I'm not sure if the exercise helped or my draining girlfriend leaving, but I can say this is the best I have felt mentally in as long as I can remember. I still have a ways to go, but I no longer want to kill myself every moment of every day. Most days I am actually happy. Story 42. I have been sober for about a week now. I decided to stop because I became so gluttonous that I was gaining what felt like a pound a week. I do not eat like that anymore and have started to actually feel better physically. Story 43. I felt like a useless person, just getting high all the time. That gave me anxiety. It made me feel like I was no different than a junkie. Every time I try it, even if it is just a single puff, it brings on feelings of immense guilt. Life has been better without it. Story 44. I was smoking every day for around 2 to 3 years. I moved in with my girlfriend, and since she isn't a fan, I stopped. I still smoke once every 1 to 2 months on specific occasions. Life has improved significantly in terms of health, social life, and work. I have much more energy, and I enjoy many things that were hard to enjoy before. When I do smoke on these occasions, it is a much better experience. Story 45, 20 years heavy smoker. I moved to a place where it is hard to get and not worth it. I miss it. Sometimes I travel only to smoke. I did smoke too much in the past, so I guess the situation is better for me. Do whatever works for you. It is okay to try and fail before you find your way. Story 46. Better. I stopped about 3 months before my daughter was born. The only other time I have actually smoked was in Las Vegas because obviously I just take gummies now. Save your lungs. Story 47. I quit 15 to 20 years ago. I don't miss it but can acknowledge or look back on the hood smoking times, like after a meal or with a cup of coffee. Overall, a terrible habit. Story 48. Not me, but a guy I went to school with recently. We both attended a local technical school for drafting and hit it off since we are both veterans and a bit older than most of the other classmates. He and his wife were daily smokers and consumed edibles for years. He quit before we graduated because he knew most places do drug screenings. He said he is less paranoid, sleeps better, has better focus, and food tastes better. I, on the other hand, want to roll a big blunt, but my wife would be upset. Story 49. I'm fine. My supply ran out about a year ago. I had a little saved up. Maybe smoked 4 bowls in the last 8 months. No money spent. Story 50. I realized that smoking was making me anxious, so I started smoking less. Eventually, I noticed that I felt terrible on the days I smoked. As a result, I quit. Although it did not feel like a formal quitting process, I simply stopped. That was almost 20 years ago. Since then, I have become much more active and clear-headed. Smoking marijuana is not for everyone. Once you realize that it is not a good fit for you, it is an obvious choice. Story 51. I do not smoke, but at the moment I am taking 40 milligrams of edibles every other day. I could do without it if I had to, but right now I am really enjoying it. Story 52. I had a child and realized that smoking and drinking were a waste of my time. I did not want my daughter to see me high or drunk. It has been an amazing experience. Honestly, I even started trauma therapy, which has been very helpful. Story 53. I occasionally feel the urge to do it once in a while, but I do not need it anymore. In my 20s, I was smoking every single day, and it turned into a problem for me. Alcohol was also a vice for me. I can honestly say that after stopping both, I am a much happier person. Story 54. It's better than it has ever been. Life was pretty miserable back when I got high all the time. The worse it was, the more I wanted to just get high so I could deal with life being so difficult. My life has done nothing but improve since I was forced to quit. Story 55. I smoked almost constantly, all day, every day from 2009 to 2019. I haven't smoked for almost 6 years now. After I quit, I went back to college and started my career, bought a house, got married, and had 2 kids. My stress levels are much lower, and my ability to regulate my emotions has improved. My motivation and executive functioning skills are also much better. The comfort of cannabis was nice, but I don't miss it. My life now brings more comfort than I ever had before. Story 56. I smoked cannabis almost every day from age 18 to 29. I quit and went about 30 years without using it. Now I occasionally consume an edible or vape. Edibles help me sleep, and I only vape at concerts or on weekends with friends away from home. Story 57. I was never a heavy smoker, more of a microdoser, I guess. But I did it most mornings and evenings and some lunch hours from age 19 to 42, minus a year I spent in Japan. After that, I cut out the weekday mornings and lunch hours. By the time I was 50, I was down to weekends only. By 60, it was maybe once a month, and now I have only done it once in 5 years. I might try it again this weekend for old time's sake. I never really noticed much difference in my health, attitude, or energy level. I have grown and evolved every year for 68 years, and it was part of my life for 40 years, but it never struck me that I was different when I stopped or started. Story 58. I stopped drinking and smoking cannabis and cigarettes on the 5th of June. My firstborn turned 3 on the 6th, and this is a commitment I made for him and myself. I want him to have the healthiest dad, and I do not want to lose precious moments with him. He is the joy of my world. I have also been losing a lot of weight, sleeping early, and waking up early as well. I miss smoking cannabis the most, but it is okay. I smoked for at least the past 20 years, so it is understandable. I have been feeling great, to be honest. Something changed, and I cannot explain it. Story 59. Heavy smoker for about 18 years and had to give it up for a job. Did not miss it at all or crave it. Tried it a couple of times during holidays or long periods off, but did not enjoy it. However, I kind of went insane after 6 to 8 years, as I am not a drinker. I found a few other ways to take a trip away from myself. Story 60. Go for a good hypnosis therapist and you will have no crisis and no relapse. I repeat, a good one. Story 61. I smoked Delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol all throughout college, and then Delta-8 tetrahydrocannabinol all throughout law school. I have quit for 3 months now as I am joining the army soon. Honestly, I do not feel any different. The biggest struggle is getting a normal sleep schedule, but I would not say that I am more or less happy. Perhaps I have less brain fog, but it is not really noticeable. Story 62. I quit for about a year at a few different points. In my early 20s, I quit for 2 years, then stopped again from age 25 to 26. Later, in my late 20s, I cut back some. Dreams became very vivid. It was easier to wake up early or on less than optimal amounts of sleep. Aside from the actual feeling of being high and becoming more introverted, I did not notice many life changes. Maybe fewer late-night snacks. Story 63. Quit for 6 months for a job with no noticeable changes other than being slightly less patient with people. I started again fairly recently as I felt I was in a good place. My dreams only became really vivid right after I started smoking again, then returned to normal. Story 64. I'm in the same situation going on 6 years now. I recently took a break and realized how much differently my mind works sober once the fog clears. Give it a try. It's challenging for a week or so, and sleep and hunger are disrupted, but after that, it gets better. Story 65. Working on quitting now. I feel a lot more intellectually sharp and motivated. The problem with being under the influence all the time is that you become content with a boring life. I am currently experiencing insomnia, which is difficult. However, I am hopeful it will improve. Story 66. Working on quitting now. I feel a lot more intellectually sharp and motivated. The problem with being under the influence all the time is that you become content with a boring life. I am going through the insomnia phase of it though. It really sucks, but I am hoping it gets better. Story 67. The first few days you will be agitated. Every day after that, you will be thanking yourself that you stopped. Just take a break for a bit. You will feel better. Story 68. I quit using marijuana 6 months ago. I feel far superior. More awake, more alert, more motivated, with no foggy mornings. Story 69. I was a heavy smoker for probably around the same amount of time as you. My life revolved around smoking as much cannabis every day as I could. I developed some kind of intolerance to it, and I feel sick if I smoke at all. Because of that, I decided to give up all that. I have not smoked or drunk alcohol in 18 years. Truthfully, life is better without it. I occasionally miss being able to smoke and watch a movie or relax, but my life is so much better without it. I have motivation again. I actually enjoy going places and doing things, and I am much more present for my family. Only positive things come from getting clean, even if it is a little hard at first. Story 70. I actually have a clear train of thought. I sleep better and generally function better. I am a reliable person. I am on time for things, and I get my work done. I still smoke a couple of times a year if I feel like it, but I almost always regret it. People who smoke cannabis daily are often oblivious to the slow-motion chaos in their lives, and they do not understand that daily cannabis use is substance abuse. You can operate your life while high, but you do not notice the wake you leave behind you. People constantly exasperated that you are late, unable to rely on you, tired of your unfounded philosophies, and tired of you forgetting things all the time. I know people who claim their daily intake somehow helps them with some vague mental health issues. I am well aware that cannabis has medical uses, but often this help people claim from smoking cannabis is really just an excuse for substance abuse. Story 71. My son was born in 2007. I gave up marijuana cold turkey right before that. I couldn't visualize being a father and smoking the amount of marijuana I used to smoke. I have not used marijuana or any drugs in 18 years. This is just the way my life is now. I am neither happier nor unhappier, just different. I am glad I could be in my son's life in every way I wanted and he needed me to be. Story 72. I smoked all day every day for about 25 years and had to quit for a job about 5 years ago. The only time I really miss it is at bedtime. I do not miss being intoxicated all the time. Toward the end, it started to trigger panic attacks for me, so I likely would have quit anyway. I do drink more now, though. Story 73. Trying to quit now after 4 years of everyday vaping. I feel like life is passing me by when I am heavily using it. I have no drive or motivation to do anything. My anxiety and depression go off the charts, and I have brain fog at work. I hope that quitting will reverse all of that. Story 74. Had to quit due to my job. It has been 2 years since I smoked. I do miss it, but I do not crave it. It would help tremendously with my sleep though. But no, emergency medical services cannot use it. Story 75. I switched to alcohol. I am getting better sleep, I am feeling more social, and I have more motivation when drunk than I did when I was getting high. I probably stopped smoking marijuana about 5 years ago. It was a slow transition, not even an intentional thing. At some point, I just stopped buying it because I did not like how it was making me feel anymore. Story 76. I smoked from age 14 to 40. I just took a 6-month break. I could actually remember things. But I went on a vacation, and my wife pressured me, so I'm back to smoking again. It's totally worth it to take a break. Of all the drugs, just stopping with no negative side effects except actually having dreams is rare. Do it. You will enjoy it so much after a short break. Story 77. My sleep is poor, and I feel many latent aches and pains that were masked by the cannabis. Mental clarity has improved, and I am saving a lot of money. My mood is a little brighter. Story 78. Smoked for 10 years and quit when I turned 25. I just felt like a loser. In the last few years, I would have multiple joints a day and be fried all the time outside of work. My relationships have improved across the board. It turns out that many of the people I smoked with I did not like that much as people. Even some people who did not smoke are not exactly the type of people I want to be around. The people I still hang out with, I have developed more personal relationships with them and find it easier to connect with people in general. I even managed to pick up a girl at a bar who I have been happily dating for 6 months. My motivation has improved a lot too, but it still needs work. The difference in my sleep is amazing. I do not wake up every day feeling shattered. I am now 26 and have not smoked daily in a year and a half. I still sometimes have a couple puffs here and there, and I enjoy it in extreme moderation. To anyone who smokes daily, unless for medical reasons, I suggest trying to take a break for a good few months. The first month was very difficult, but after that, the benefits were plentiful. I am happier, healthier, and doing financially much better, with more positive relationships all around me. Story 79. I was someone who, while a big fan of drugs in general, smoked cannabis far longer than I should have given how poorly it reacted with my brain chemistry. I would almost instantly go into an uncomfortable, anxious state, feel overly paranoid, and be unsettled the entire time I was high. I should have quit far sooner than I ultimately did, which was in my 30s. I am 48 now, have been off cannabis for over 15 years, and have never been more clear-minded, healthy, and happy. Cannabis was far from the only negative in my life back then, but it was a considerable detriment to my daily quality of life. I am happy for people who have amazing stories about what cannabis does for them, but I wish people would be more aware of just how poorly some individuals react to it. It should become the norm for those who do not respond well to cannabis to stay far away from it. In my opinion, it is like cilantro, where some people cannot get enough of it, and to others with a different chemical makeup, it tastes like soap and ruins any dish it is in. Cannabis is one of the worst possible drugs for people with a certain chemical, mental, or nervous system configuration. For anyone reading this who feels their experiences with cannabis resemble this or are vastly different from the calm, relaxing, borderline medicinal effects others describe, do yourself a favor and try quitting the habit for a while. See how you feel after a break. Story 80. No cravings. No increase in motivation. No improvement in sleep. Basically no changes. I am one of the few, though, for whom it does not have an effect afterward. I can smoke whenever and quit whenever, truly. Every experience is different. Story 81. Stopped smoking 3 years ago, and life has been infinitely better since then. There have been struggles too, but I have been able to deal with them and my emotions in a whole new and present way. I know that stuff may come to the surface, but it needs to so it can be dealt with and let go of. Trust me, you will be happier for it. Story 82. I am 2 weeks in after about 15 years of heavy usage. Time slows down. I am grumpy. I keep wishing I were high. I am getting very little done. My current thought is it possible that life is better on cannabis? I imagine that will go away in a few more weeks, but the first little bit has been a rough adjustment. Story 83. I stopped smoking 13 years ago. I did not want to, but I also did not want to be broke anymore. I had to turn to a trade to make money, and I never looked back. I do not get drug tested as much as I used to, but the threat of a random test is always looming. Being able to pay my bills comfortably makes me forget about anything else that could cost me that. Story 84. I smoked for more than 20 years pretty much every day. I have not smoked in about 3 years. To be honest, there is not much of a story. Over time, as I got older, smoking just became less enjoyable. Eventually, it started making me anxious, so I stopped. Life is not much different. I eat less junk food than before. Story 85. Life is better. Withdrawal is difficult at first, but your overall quality of life improves. I strongly recommend checking out 2 subreddits. I have found them to be very helpful for sharing the struggle of quitting or relapsing with others going through the same experience. r/leaves is for users looking to quit marijuana entirely, and r/petioles is for users looking to take a tolerance break, meaning quitting for a period of time or simply reducing the amount of tetrahydrocannabinol they consume. Good luck. Story 86. Daily smoker from 19, heavy all-day smoker by 23, chronic concentrate and all forms of consumption from 28 to 36. Stopped 3 years ago after finishing community college when I started a well-paying job that conducts random testing. Could not be happier. My mind is clear all the time, dreams have returned, and I no longer spend over $500 every month on product. My wife smokes, but I do not crave it in any way. The only thing cannabis ever did for me was prevent me from getting a job like I have because I would not apply for any position that tested regularly. At 39, I am married with a 9-month-old baby and a nice house. Story 87. Daily use for years. I have not touched it once in almost a year and a half. Best decision I ever made. Clear mind, good sleep, and physically I am in much better shape. I feel like I am 20 years old again. Story 88. I smoked regularly for over 20 years and quit about 3 months ago. No particular reason, I just felt done with it. Life is good. I cannot really say anything is different aside from remembering my dreams and saving money. Falling asleep seems more of a task, whereas I used to basically just zonk out as soon as I lay down. Story 89. I hit it from 22 to 36, wished I never wasted so much time doing nothing. All I remember is me rolling blunts and flicking my phone. I had a lot of friends who liked me because of free marijuana. It was fun at the beginning, but the years passed so fast that I can barely remember. I joined the gym and my life is much better and more productive now. It makes you lazy and stupid. A complete waste of time, money, and everything. Life is definitely better and clearer now. Story 90. I was a big party guy for many years. Weed and alcohol were my only remaining vices in my 30s. I had to quit for surgery and just never started again, so I have been straight edge now for about 3 years. I am happier overall and in the best shape I have ever been in. The only thing that makes me sad about it is that I probably have $2,000 worth of alcohol in my liquor cabinet and a bunch of edibles in a cabinet that have definitely gone bad by now. It is just a waste of money. Story 91. Smoking was 100% the worst choice I ever made. It saps all emotion, motivation, and joy from you. Since stopping, I work out all the time, take more time to rest, and just have a generally better quality of life. Story 92. Long-time smoker. My new job, without specifying the role, tests for everything. So I quit at the beginning of the year. I should mention I have sleep paralysis. The only thing I've noticed is my dreams since quitting have been very vivid, and I can recall them accurately every time. I can't say I have more energy, as my job can drain me physically and still leave me lazy on the couch after a shift. But other than my dreams, I find myself more engaged in conversations. This is unusual because I have severe attention deficit disorder and was prescribed Vyvanse 90XR. I noticed this change almost a month after quitting smoking. Do I miss it? Sure. I miss camping and sitting around a fire, just living in the moment. Does my career field suffer because smoking is frowned upon? Absolutely. Everyone seems to just drink bourbon as soon as they get home. It's sad. If I could choose between getting off my shift and coming home to a joint and a midday nap or having a few beers and bourbon, I know exactly what I would choose. But such is life. Hopefully, I can come back to it in 20 years. Story 93. I've smoked heavily every single day except for about 3 days in the past 10 years. Today marks over 2 weeks without using any marijuana. It has not been much of a challenge, nor am I missing it right now. I told myself and others it was for a better job or a drug test, but to be honest, there is no drug test or job lined up right now. I did test myself 10 days ago and passed. I've just kind of enjoyed being sober. I got tired of how my time was spent and how my mind was functioning. I was really dependent on daily use. It was an expensive habit, and I need to be frugal right now, which may be influencing this decision a bit. I've gained a lot of mental clarity. I've been excelling in physical challenges and breathing much better. Food tastes amazing. I'm less awkward and more social in social settings. I feel much more like myself and have learned a lot about myself. I'm currently studying to enter the information technology field, and I think after that, around another month or so, I'll start casually smoking again as a reward, just maybe not every day. Also, I quit nicotine entirely over a year ago, and quitting marijuana has been 10 times easier, which has been nice. Despite some unfortunate events in life over the past month, I am a lot happier. I am more in control and have solid goals set. Story 94. 1 year sober after more than 12 years of smoking multiple times a day. Life has never been better, honestly. I stopped using cannabis to escape my problems or as an easy source of dopamine in my life. I learned to handle all my emotions in healthy ways and to induce dopamine naturally. Life has never been better, honestly. Story 95. Check out the Reddit community r/leaves for support. They will share their experiences about quitting and what worked for them. Story 96. I smoked an ounce a week from about age 16 to 22. I am 27 now and would never smoke it again. Not because I am against marijuana or anything, my girlfriend still smokes nightly, but just because it mentally slows me down. I feel much more capable, present, and authentic without marijuana. I am way more productive and less accepting of laziness within myself. That is the general idea. Story 97. I smoked for a good 7 or 8 years. I smoked a lot, easily 20 large joints a day, sometimes more. I was smoking from the moment I got out of bed until the moment I went back to sleep. Then I moved to another country where I cannot grow my own, and since it's not my home country, I don't want to take any chances. Do I feel like I had any withdrawal symptoms? No. Do I want to go back to the place I was? No. Am I happier now than before? No. Smoking didn't make me happier, nor did quitting. Did smoking change me? I think in some ways it changed me, but not radically. I graduated as the second best student, exercised often, and worked hard. But it did make me feel okay with things sometimes not going as well as they should have. Smoking so much made me okay with being alone, even though I was craving a girlfriend. I had a couple of one-night stands, but it wasn't great. Was work not going well? I'd smoke and not feel as bad. Quitting just made me realize I have to take the bull by the horns. I'm still coming to terms with it somewhat. I'm still in a very comfortable position, so there are things that haven't changed. I'm in a loving relationship now and still trying to get some things together. Would I go back and never have smoked? No, definitely not. I still think some of my biggest friends, people who have had my back for the last 10 years and are still there, were some of the best people to chain smoke with. Oh, did we smoke and play video games for days straight, write together, read together, always smoking the biggest joints we could roll. I have lost count of how many pictures I have on my phone where I'm posing next to joints taller than my head. Then we would get a couple hours of sleep and go off to work. Many of them don't smoke anymore either. Was it a phase? Maybe. Anyway, you do you. No matter what, always surround yourself with people who are with you because of who you are and who won't leave after the marijuana runs dry. If they're there, those are the real ones. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.